everyone, I am Praful Dixit. Welcome to this English language class. Active and passive voice is a lengthy and an important topic. In the previous lecture, we studied how to convert the sentences with one object from active to passive. In the next lecture, we have to study the conversion of the sentences with two objects. But many of the students get confused. They find the task of identification of the objects difficult. So, to help them out and avoid the confusion while studying the next chapter, that is conversion of the sentences with two objects into passive voice, I am here with a new topic today. So, our today's topic is the identification of direct and indirect object. So, please watch the full video so that many of your doubts will be cleared. I hope that you know the two types of verbs, that is transitive and intransitive. When the verbs transit or pass over an action from the subject to the object, they are called transitive verbs. Most of the transitive verbs take one object, that is single object. But some verbs such as ask, tell, give, offer, promise and so on take two objects. These two objects are direct and indirect. Then how to identify such kind of objects? We have a very simple way to identify the objects. The indirect object indicates the person to whom something is given or done, or for whom something is done. If you ask yourself a question, to whom or for whom, the answer you get is the indirect object. The indirect object is usually a person. It is a noun or pronoun. The second object is the direct object. This generally indicates a thing. If you ask yourself a question with what, means what did he give, what did he tell, then you can get the direct object. Here we have to ask the question with what, means you can identify the objects, that is direct and indirect object, by asking the questions as to whom, for whom, what, like this. Okay, so here I have some examples with the help of which you can understand what I am telling you in a better way. First of all, I have written here to whom, for whom, and then indirect object. Means, if you want to identify the indirect object, just ask yourself a question to whom or for whom. Then the next one is what. Means, if you ask yourself a question, what, means what is given, what is told, what is asked, you can get the direct object. Now let us see the examples. See here, the standard structure of sentence in grammar is subject plus verb plus object. Okay, let us see this sentence is now, my mother gave me a watch. In this sentence, my mother is the subject, gave is the verb, and me is the indirect object, and a watch is the direct object. Then why me is the indirect object and watch a direct object? Because my mother gave to whom? To whom? To me. So, whenever the question is asked, to whom or for whom, the answer you get is the indirect object. What did my mother give? What? Watch. She gave me a watch. And whenever you ask a question with what, the answer you get is the direct object. Now, the same sentence is written here in a little bit different way without changing meaning. What difference do you find here? See, my mother gave a watch to me. Same subject, that is my mother, same verb, that is gave, and here after the verb, what has occurred? Direct object and not indirect object. After the verb, direct object has occurred here. Whenever in the sentence after verb direct object comes, then for writing the indirect object after the direct object, we have to make use of the preposition to or for. Okay, so here my mother gave a watch. What is given? Watch is given. To whom? To me. So we have to take help of the preposition here, and we have used the preposition to here. To me. But what happens? Pay attention. In the first sentence, me is the indirect object. It has come just after the verb. But in this sentence, after the verb, the direct object has come, and after direct object, it has come. And it has come with the preposition. Whenever in the sentence, the indirect object comes after direct object with the preposition, it does not remain indirect object, it becomes the object of the preposition and not the object of verb. Okay, so don't forget this. The second sentence is, he told Riya a story. To whom the story is told? To Riya. To whom it is, whenever the question is asked with to whom, then to whom? Riya. So it is the indirect object. What is told? The story is told, and so it is direct object. The same sentence is written here in a little bit different way. See here. He told a story to Riya. Same subject, same verb, and what is the difference here? The direct object has occurred after verb. Okay, and then what? Whenever the direct object comes after verb, we have to make use of the preposition for writing the indirect object. So in this sentence, we have to take help of to and then write the indirect object. In the first sentence, Riya is the indirect object. But as it has occurred with the preposition, in this sentence, in the second sentence, it has become the object of preposition. Don't get confused between indirect object and the object of preposition. When the object comes just after the verb, it is indirect object. And when it occurs with the preposition, it becomes the object of the preposition and not the indirect object. Fine, I hope that you have understood this. The third sentence is, she made Meena a frock. She is the subject, made is the verb, Meena is the indirect object, because when we ask the question, for whom, the answer we get is Meena, and so Meena is the indirect object. What is made? Made what? Then frock, and so it is the direct object. Now see this sentence with a little bit change. She made a frock for Meena. She is the subject, made is the verb, a frock is the direct object for Meena. Okay? In this sentence, the frock, the direct object, has occurred just after verb. And so, for writing this indirect object, we have to take help of the preposition for. So, for whom? For Meena. So, the sentence is, she made a frock for Meena. Meena is the indirect object in the first sentence, but it has become the object of preposition in this second sentence. Now, see the sentence, Madhu offered him a job. Madhu is the subject, offered is the verb, him is the indirect object, a job is the direct object. Offered to whom? To whom? To offered to whom? To him, and so it is the indirect object. Offered what? A job, and so it is the direct object. The sentence is written here in a little bit different way. Madhu offered a job to him. Subject same, verb same, and here after verb direct object has occurred, and as it has occurred just after the verb and we have to write the indirect object after the direct object, we have to make the use of preposition to. We have to take its help. Okay, otherwise the sentence will be grammatically wrong. And so, to him. In the first sentence, him is the indirect object, but in the second sentence, it has become the object of preposition. See the last sentence, will you do me a favor? This is the question. Let it be the question we have to do in the same way. See, you is the subject, do is the verb, me, to whom? To me. And so, it is the indirect object. A favor, direct object. What? A favor. So, in the same way here, you is the subject, do is the verb, and direct object has occurred just after the verb, and that is a favor, and after that we have to make use of this indirect object, and so we have to take help of the preposition to, and the sentence has become, will you do a favor to me? And as preposition has occurred in this sentence, before the indirect object in the sentence. See here in this sentence, me is the indirect object. This me we have used here at the end of the sentence. And before that, we have taken help of the preposition to. And so, it has become object of the preposition. It does not remain an indirect object. Okay? So, I hope that all these 5 sentences are clear to you. So, object, what is object? Object is the receiver of an action. Indirect object, whenever you ask a question with to whom or for whom, the answer you get is the indirect object. Then, if you ask the question with what, then the answer you get is the direct object. So, in this way, you can identify the direct and indirect object. I hope that whatever I explained, that is all these 5 sentences, are clear to you. Thank you.